What's up, Met fans? Welcome back. Talking Mets and Ride, Mets post game live edition. So, as you may or may not know, the Mets lost 4-2 today against the Marlins. Stroman looked pretty good today, which is always a good thing. So, this is just a little look into what Talking Mets and Rob's channel is going to look like over the next couple of months when the season starts. Basically, what it is this. We're going to have I'm going to go live for a pregame live stream on my channel, and then I will do a postgame live on my channel for almost every game I possibly can. I'm going to try to do every game, but sometimes that's impossible. But I will do my best, even when I'm at the game, to do postgame live. What the postgame live will entail, probably me driving home from the game, which would be very interesting. You probably get me into the whole road rage type of thing with traffic, but you also get a Mets postgame recap, my instant reaction to being at the game, the atmosphere, who was the goat of the game, who was the basically the joker of the game, the guys who are just not ready for weren't good in the game or were good in the game. We'll recap the game. We'll do what we did today, the last couple of days, and we will talk about today's game. So just going to wait for a couple of viewers to come down, and then we'll go from there. So don't forget, guys, if you enjoy this video, enjoy this live stream, hit on a like button, hit on that subscriber button, and make sure we get the 500 subscribers tonight, guys. Super important. Free giveaway when I get the 500 subscribers. It is the Jeff McNeil Flying Squirrel bobblehead that they will be giving away in Port St. Lucie. They actually sold them online for a little bit of time. They are now sold out online. I was able to get two. It was going to a good cause. It's going to a Mets Foundation, to the Mets Foundation, which is great to do, and it's a great cause. So it's great to see. So that would be one of the giveaways that I'm going to be doing when I hit 500 subscribers. I'm only 10 away. So that's good news. And when we get to 1,000 subscribers, when I get to 1,000 subscribers, that's when big things are going to start to happen, because I can go live on my phone. And that's when things get interesting, because I can go live during the game. That was going to be a lot of fun. That can be a lot of fun for you, a lot of fun for me. You'll interact with me. You interact with the people I'm around. It will be a really good time for all of us. So as of right now, we're going to be waiting for a couple more people to join in. And unfortunately, the Mets lost today 4-2, but there was a couple of good things out of today that we'll talk about in a few minutes. So as of right now, we are just going to wait for a couple more people to join in, and just give us a few minutes. All right, guys. Welcome to Talking Mets are live, Mets post game live edition. So we're gonna recap the game here. Spend about 45 minutes to an hour here, going over the box score, going over the players, going over the bullpen, everything we need to do to talk about the game today. Marcus Stroman did get the start for the Mets. We're gonna go over it just now. Waiting for a few more people to come join us. Thank you for joining in. Hit on that like button. Hit on that subscribe button, everybody. Let's get the 500 subscribers tonight, guys. Thank you guys for joining in. Waiting for a couple more people to join in so we can talk about the Mets game today against the Marlins as they lost 4-2 against the Marlins. All right, guys, start commenting in the chats. I know you're here. You're ready to go. We'll start the game recap. We will discuss game today. How's everybody doing? Hit on that like button if you're just joining in. Hit on that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed as of yet. Let's get going, guys. Let's talk Mets baseball. Let's talk of the game recap. Let's talk of the pros and cons of today's game. This is going to be an everyday thing when the season starts, guys. When the season starts, I'm going to do a pregame live stream. I'm going to do a postgame live stream. Sometimes it's going to be from my home. Sometimes it's going to be in the car. It's going to be very fun. I'm going to find ways to get it to you guys almost before and after every game. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm trying to do. So it's going to be a really fun time. So I want to update you guys on what's going to happen and how's everything going. Nelson, how you doing, buddy? Thank you. This was the 1969 giveaway that they gave 2 years in 2019. Yeah, thank you for noticing. How you doing, Nelson? So yeah, this was the jersey that they gave away in 1969. It was the anniversary of 1969 when they did the ceremony and everything like that. That was a really cool time. That was the fun times when before pre-pandemic when things were normal and we were allowed to go to games and packed houses. So that was always fun. But to recap the game, guys, the New York Mets lost 4-2 to the Miami Marlins. In the top of the first, Jesus Aguilar hit a line drive to left field, and Starlin Marte scored. The Mets tied the game with a Brandon Drury single to center field, and Pete Alonso scored. So that was looking good. And Adam DeGraw grounded to a double play, but Joe Dunan scored, and then that's when the Mets were losing. But they came right back with the Pete Alonso hard line drive to center field that brought home Malik Smith. But unfortunately, the Mets gave up a couple of runs with the Monte Harrison double that brought in Malik Smith and Sandy Leone. And then Monte Harris also scored in the top of the seventh, which made the score stand at 4-2, and that's when the Mets lost. But the good news is that another strong performance from Marcus Stroman. That's what we're looking for him. He's going to be a big piece of this rotation, especially when Carlos Carrasco is a question mark as of right now in the rotation and starting the season. We are not sure if he's going to be ready for the start of the season. So it was a big-time look at Joey Lucasy today as he pitched in coming out of the bullpen. And he is going to be a very interesting piece to look at. And might be that next guy up in the rotation if Carlos Carrasco cannot go to start the season in the rotation. Because as you guys may know, Carlos Carrasco was a little late to spring training. Then he developed elbow soreness, and that's when we realized, wow, why ain't Carlos Carrasco pitching in the game? Well, the elbow soreness is an issue, and that's causing him not to pitch it, not to throw on the side like he would like to, and that's causing him not to start a game in spring training. And in my opinion, if he doesn't start by if he doesn't pitch by pitch in a game by next week, he is not going to be able to start the season in the rotation because there's no way he can build up the stamina and the pitch count that he would like to start the season in the rotation. So that means, who could it be? It's going to be probably Joey Lucasy, who did pitch today against the Marlins. And we're going to talk about the pitchers that pitched today. There are a couple of interesting pieces. There was a couple of guys that we already know in the bullpen that will be in this rotation and in this bullpen. So we're going to talk about it right now, guys. Hit this like button, guys. If you're in this live stream right now, hit on that like button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. This is the Mets post game live, Talking Mets with Rob live edition. This will be happening every game during the season, pre-game and post-game. I will be going live during the season. I just wanted to give you guys a little update on that and show you how it's going to look like and what's going to happen. We're going to spend about an hour in the pre-game, hour in the post-game during the season. This is what it's going to look like. So we're going to get going right now, talking about the pitchers of the game for the Mets and how did they pan out during the game against the Marlins. So as you may know, Marcus Stroman started the game for the New York Mets. He pitched 3 1/3 inning, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. He looked very good today. And he's pitching well. He's been looking good. It's nice to see because he is going to probably be the number 2 starter starting the season because Carlos Carrasco does not look like he's going to start the season on time. So it's very big for Stroman to be in tip-top shape for the start of the season because he's going to be on number 2. And Taijuan Walker is going to be on number 3. David Peterson is going to be on number 4. And the guy that we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes is probably going to be the number 5 starter. So after Stroman, who pitched after Stroman? It was Aaron Loup. And Aaron Loup pitched. He didn't give up no runs, no hits. He had 1 strikeout. So Aaron Loup looked pretty good. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit on that like button if you're just joining in. Thank you for tuning in to my live stream, the Mets Post Game Live. This will be happening every game during the season. You're going to have a post game live stream and a pre-game live stream. So I want you guys to understand that and know that so you guys can anticipate the pre-game, anticipate the post-game before and after every Mets game during the season. Nelson, William, how you doing, buddy? How's it going? Thank you for tuning in. Ira's coming in. Thank you guys for tuning in, guys. Hit on that like button. Thank you so much. So after Aaron Loup, it was Dylan Betances. Betances looked pretty good today. He only pitched 1 inning, gave up 1 walk, 1 strikeout. So it was nice to see that he bounced back from the other island that he had the other day. After Betances, it was Trevor May. Trevor May seems to be still struggling a little bit. May still hasn't found his grasp in a Mets uniform yet. He gave up 3 hits in 1 inning, 1 run, 1 earned run. So Trevor May is still seeing like he's trying to find his feet on the ground in a Mets uniform at the moment. He hasn't pitched well in spring training as of yet, but we might not have to worry. We're going to see if we have to worry about him yet because he is a big piece of this bullpen, as we don't trust a lot of players in this bullpen. And that's the biggest problem right now. And that's why there's some competition for the final 1 or 2 spots in the Mets bullpen, especially when a lot of the guys we do not trust in this bullpen. And that's what we're going to have to look into. All right, guys. So after Trevor May, it was Tommy Hunter. Tommy Hunter struggled today as well. He pitched 1 inning, gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk. Tommy Hunter did not look good today either. He gave up the go-ahead, gave up 2 runs, so that made it 4-2, and basically figured out that the Mets were going to lose this game. But after Tommy Hunter is the guy that we're going to have to look at probably over the next 2 to 3 weeks before the start of the season, and that is Joey Lucasy. He is probably going to be pushed into the rotation and be the 5th starter of this team because Carlos Carrasco has not started the game, has not pitched in spring training as of yet. And as you may or may not know, Carlos Carrasco would have been considered the number 2 starter in this rotation behind DeGrom, but as of right now, he has not started the game in spring training because of elbow soreness. And that's is becoming a problem with the Mets right now because now you have to lose a lefty in the bullpen in Joey Lucasy and put him into the rotation. So that means that another spot could be opening up for probably the first couple of weeks in the bullpen. So there's a lot of guys we have to look at, Loop and Tommy Hunter, that pitched today, that possibility that could be big time pieces in this bullpen. Loop is probably going to make the team, going to make the bullpen, but Tommy Hunter is another guy we have to look at also. Sam McWilliams, guys like that to fill these roles because Joey Casey is probably going to have to go into the rotation, and that's an issue that the Mets already have to deal with a rotation spot, and now another bullpen arm that they need when Lugo is out and Lucasy's joining the rotation. So there's a couple of guys that we have to probably push into the bullpen as well that probably would have made the team, but now they're probably going to have to for the first couple of weeks. So it's looking like the Mets are dealing with some injury issues in their rotation, and that is starting to become a concern because Carlos Carrasco is supposed to be a big part of this rotation, and as of right now, we are not seeing Carrasco in a game as of yet, and hopefully we do see him soon. But as I said earlier, if Carlos Carrasco does not get into games sometime next week, he will not be starting in the rotation in the beginning of the year. He will probably have to take it about another week or two, maybe 3, before he can get up to tip-top shape and get up to a pitch count that is required for a starting pitcher. So that's something to look at as well. Nelson, William, how you guys doing? And I heard it's the way it's looking. That San Diego, it's a little breezy. Well, guess what, guys? It's actually 60 degrees in New York today, so it's actually warm. Well, warm for me. But it's a little breezy in San Diego, I see. A little cold. What is it, 72? And Nelson just said the breezes remains from Jake's blazing fastball. Well, he hit 101, 102 yesterday, so that's really nice to see. Don't forget, guys, if you're in this live stream, please hit on that like button. Please share the link. Let's get the 500 subscribers tonight. As you may or may not know, I will be giving away Jeff McNeil Flying Squirrel bobblehead as a thank you to getting to 500 subscribers. And that's going to happen as soon as I hit 500 subscribers. And as soon as I get that bobblehead in my hand, I'm waiting for it to come in the mail, saying it's going to be about 2 weeks. I purchased it a couple of days ago. So we will see. You will see the bobblehead. I will be doing a video on how to enter to win this bobblehead as the free giveaway for thanking you guys for getting me to 500 subscribers. Gonna read the comments a little bit. I seen a lot of Lucasy because I live in San Diego. He is decent. Yeah, he did start a lot of games for San Diego, Williams. So you have a lot more, knowledge of this. Hey, Robert Maseraccio, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, Robert, please hit on that like button. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And yes, I understand, with the Marlins, but you know what? It is spring training, but it's not looking good when it comes to a couple of guys in the bullpen either. I know, Robert, it's frustrating. Yeah, listen, I'm not very happy with Luis Rojas. Even I know it was a shortened season last year, Robert. I think I don't like the way he manages. I think that he is quick to pull the plug with pitchers. Sometimes his lineups are a little confusing. I know you don't really want to look at it in spring training, but a lot in 2020, he moved the lineup around way too much. And when you have a deep lineup, keep the lineup the same a couple of games a year, especially early on in the season. So, you can get these guys in rhythm. And I would like to see that. And I don't like Luis Rojas. I don't think he's not going to be a very good manager. I know the Mets wanted to give him a chance because he got really pushed into a really difficult situation in 2020 with the pandemic and with the whole college Beltran firing. But at least, as a Met fan, we have to give him a chance. I don't know if he's going to be good or not. I feel like he's pretty good when it comes to the bullpen. I think he knows when to bring in the right guys. It's just the guys have to perform when they bring them in. But I'm not very Luis Rojas. I don't think he's that good of a manager. And William, I agree. He is on a very short leash this year. If the Mets do not start out strong, I do not think that Luis Rojas is going to be the Mets manager for far too long. He might get the same amount of games that we talked about with JD Davis. He might get between 65 to 80 games right before the All-Star break if the Mets are not showing like the team that we think they could be, which is the 90-plus win team, and not performing well because, as you know, the last couple of years, the Mets did not start well in the first half of the season, and then they had a battle back big time in the second half, and we can't have that. Again, we have to start off strong, especially as deep as this NL East is. Every team in this NL East can be a possible pain in the ass to the New York Mets this year. As Robert talked about, the New York Mets always have a problem with the Miami Marlins, Florida Marlins, whatever the hell you want to call them. The team that has like two fans, we always have a problem with the Marlins. No matter who's on the team, they could be the worst team in baseball. The Mets have a problem. Robert just spoke about it in the live chat, and that's the biggest issue that we are having. We have to start off strong in a division that from top to bottom can be difficult for the Mets. We already know about the Braves, who are the NL East champs. The Braves look good. The Phillies are an enigma, but they're going to be difficult. Their rotation is okay. You know, at the top, they got Nola and Wheeler, who gave us problems last year as well. Obviously, the Phillies lineup is pretty big, bringing back Didi Gregorius, bringing back JT Realmuto. We know about Harper. We know about other guys on the team, Alec Baum. Those type of guys, they got a serious lineup. Look at the Nationals. The Nationals are still the Nationals, even though their rotation is getting a little older, with Strasburg with the injuries, with Scherzer getting a year older. But they do have a pretty good team as well. They did get Kyle Schwarber. They did get Josh Bell. So they got a lot of power in that lineup, along with Juan Soto and guys like that. So we really have to keep on looking at the fact that the Mets need to start off good in the early part of the season so we don't have to continue to beat around the bush and continue to bust our ass in the second half of the season just to try to make up. Fernando, you joined us. What's up, buddy? I was getting worried. You don't like me no more. What's up, buddy? How you doing? So we got a new guy into the stream. His name is Robert Maseraccio. He's talking about the Marlins and Luis Rojas. I want to give a shout out to Robert. Thank you for joining the live stream. Robert, if you haven't already, hit on that like button, hit on that subscribe button. I'm going to be doing big things with my channel. We're going to get the 500 subscribers today. As you may or may not know, I'll be giving away a Jeff McNeil Flying Squirrel bobblehead for a thank you to you guys for supporting me and getting me up to 500 subscribers. And as you may know, the New York Mets did lose 4-2 to the Marlins. So as of right now, the Mets lost 4-2 to the Marlins. Marcus Stroman looked good. Aaron Loup looked good. Tommy Hunter struggled. Dylan Betances looked okay. And also, what we also have to look at also is Joey Lucasy, who pitched well today, because as of right now, he looks like he's going to be the fifth starter because of Carlos Carrasco. Still hasn't started in the spring. Look like he's going to be a little behind starting the season. And with that elbow soreness at a guy with 34 years old, hopefully it's not that serious, and hopefully we get him back as soon as possible. But as of right now, Joey Lucasy is probably going to be the fifth starter, which means another bullpen arm that we were talking about yesterday in the live stream, that there's going to be one or two spots, possibly three spots now, since Joey Lucasy is going to get pushed into this rotation for at least the next couple of weeks starting the season. So Joey Lucasy pitched 2 innings, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. So he looked good. He got that funky delivery. William was speaking about it in the chat. He lives in San Diego. He's seen Joey Lucasy a lot over the last couple of years. Obviously, William has a little bit more knowledge, seeing him on almost an everyday basis when he was with the Padres. I'm not going to stand here and give you lies and say I looked at Joey Lucasy a lot. I do know who he is. I looked at his numbers. That's all I'm really going by. I looked at highlights, but Joey Lucasy can be in his rest in peace. He is a decent pitcher. He's not going to blow you away with a 97 miles an hour fastball. He was throwing like 90, 92 with his fastball, but with his funky delivery, the fastball gets on batters pretty quickly. So he will be our fifth starter starting this season if Carlos Carrasco doesn't start pitching as of next week. Because if he doesn't come into any games as of next week, there is no way he's going to build up his stamina and build up his pitch count to start the season in this Mets rotation. So as of right now, you got DeGrom, Stroman, Walker, Peterson, and Joey Lucasy. That is the starting rotation for the Mets probably starting the season. Already the Mets are having to deal with injuries with Lugo, which hurts the bullpen as one of the best pitchers in our bullpen. And now we lose Carlos Carrasco, which is supposed to be our second best pitcher until Noah Syndergaard comes back, which is already becoming a big problem for this Mets team. And as you already know, the bullpen is already an issue. I do not trust anybody in this bullpen. I don't care what Edwin Diaz is throwing and the way he's pitching in spring training. Does not matter to me. He's got to do it in the season when the lights are the brightest. And that's what I need to see with fans in the stands. He did have a very nice ERA last year. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was a 1.3 or a 1.7 ERA last year. But let's be honest, there was no fans in the stands. It was a lot easier for him, but he still walked a lot of people. Even though his ERA was good, he walked a lot of people. He walked a lot of batters last year, put a lot of runners on base. Yes, he had a ton of strikeouts, and that's how he got out of innings. But all he had to do was give up one hit, and those runners are coming home. So that's what I worry about with Edwin Diaz. As you know, the second game of the season against the Braves, Marcell Ozuna, he did save the first game of the season when Yoenis Cespedes hit that go-ahead home run to put the Mets in the lead for game one of the shortened season. Diaz saved the game, and then the next game, we thought Diaz really found it, and then he gave up that opposite field home run to Marcell Ozuna, and that changed the Mets season very quickly. And realized that Edwin Diaz is still Edwin Diaz. And I don't trust anybody in his bullpen. At the moment, Trevor May, I do not trust either because I got to see him do it in a Mets jersey, and he has not looked good in spring training for the Mets. I don't care what he done with the Minnesota Twins. I want to see him what he does with the Mets, and so far he has not looked good. He has close to a 6 ERA so far in spring training. That is not what we want to see as one of the biggest pieces that we got in free agency for the New York Mets. I'm not sure why the Mets are not going after Shane Green, especially with these injuries that we're dealing with the Mets in the starting rotation and in the bullpen because of Joey Lucasy is going into the rotation and another spot is opening up in the bullpen. The Mets should just go after Shane Green. He is still out there. You want to get him now so we can build up his arm so we can be a part of this Mets bullpen, but I don't know if Sandy Alderson's going to do that. So I'm going to look at the chat right now. I've been talking for the last couple of minutes. Let me just catch up a little bit, buddy. All right, guys. Fernando, raffle the jacket from yesterday. Oh, yeah. I got the jacket right next to me. I might do it. I do have two of them. I have a medium, which I do wear, and I do have a large. But like I said yesterday in the live stream, Fernando, I gotta bring it to a dry cleaners because it has been in my closet for a while, and I'm not gonna send anybody a dirty jacket. But like I said, it's practically brand new. It was me and my dad's, and my dad basically he lost a lot of weight over the years, so he actually can't wear it anymore because it looks like it basically goes down to his knees, but it is a size large. Maybe I'll do that when I hit 1,000 subscribers. That'll be the big giveaway. A New York Mets World Series jacket that has the 69 and 86 on the shoulders. On the arms, and they gave that out. They sold that in Models like about 10 years ago, maybe. And I remember those, and it was one of the best jackets I ever had. So maybe Fernando, when I hit 1,000 subscribers, that'll be the next giveaway for sure. So let me check the comments really quick. Marlins have a really good pitching staff. William talked about this. Yes, they do. With Alcantara, Sixto Sanchez, and Pablo Lopez. You know what? Obviously, Jacob deGrom is the best pitcher in baseball, but that is a very solid 1 to 3 in their rotation. And that's going to cause problems not just for the Mets, but for teams in the NL East for sure. Yes, I'm glad Lucasy is going to be probably in the rotation. That's two lefties in a rotation. That's awesome. Yes, also the problem is with that, Fernando, is that you're going to have David Peterson and Lucasy back to back lefties. I don't know how much that's going to happen. Maybe they might switch it up and put Peterson, Walker, Lucasy just to mix up the left-handers, because I don't know how much the Mets want to put two lefties back to back in the rotation. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see where Luis Rojas does. As I said earlier, I do not like Luis Rojas. I think he makes a lot of bad lineup calls, and the lineups that he brings up sometimes always makes me wonder sometimes. I do like a steady lineup. I do like to see a consistent lineup a couple of games in a row. Last year, I know there was a lot of, with COVID and everything like that, he had a lot of change in the roster, but I think 58 out of the 60 games, he had different lineups. Great teams, really good teams, have similar lineups a lot of games in a row, and I like to see that. I miss those type of lineups. You got a very deep lineup. There's no reason to change the lineup every day. You got a lot of everyday starters here. You know who your starters are going to be. There's not much, confusion of who's going to be in this lineup. Nimmo's going to be in center field. Dominic Smith's going to be in left. Alonso's playing first. J.D. Davis is playing third. Lindor at short. McNeil at second. McCann behind the plate. Conforto's in right. You know who's going to be in this lineup. So there should be no reason why this lineup should be changing every single day. I know if there's a lefty on the mound, you might want to switch up the lefties because we have about 5 lefties in this lineup. Obviously, Lindor's a switch hitter, but when there's a righty on the mound, you will be batting left-handed. So we do have to look at that as well. Let me check the comments a little bit. Who's the medical examiner for the Mets? How does he miss bone chips in Carrasco's elbow? Fire his ass, please. Was it bone chips or was it just soreness? Because, Robert, you might have more information than I do, but I believe I saw it's only elbow soreness. It's not bone chips. It's just soreness. I'm not sure if it's bone chips. You might have seen something I haven't seen, but I believe I'm going to check it right now. But I think it's, let me check. I don't think it's bone chips, Robert, but let me just double check. Yeah, so, all right, so yeah, I see somewhere Yahoo Sports just now, but, all right. Yeah, so it says, why surgery to remove bone chip was right call over rehab? Mets calls Carrasco dealing with elbow soreness. So I guess it is bone chips, which is a very dangerous thing for a pitcher because as you see with Zach Britton and the Yankees, he actually is having surgery to remove bone chips, and it's going to cost him 3 months. So if he is going to be removing bone chips, Carlos Carrasco is going to be out for 3 months at the very least, and that's a problem. All right, guys, we got 12 consistent viewers. Thank you guys for joining in. Please hit on that like button, hit on that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you are just joining this live stream, the Mets did lose 4-2. Stroman looked good, and Joey Lucasy looked good as well. So as of right now, there is bone chips that is a concern for Carlos Carrasco. And if you have been paying attention to New York media and New York sports, Zach Britton is having surgery to remove bone chips from his elbow, which seems like it's similar to what is Carlos Carrasco is having right now, which is a 3-month process, which means Carlos Carrasco could be missing out on 3 months in this Mets rotation, possibly longer. Right as of right now, Carlos Carrasco was uncertain if he's going to have the surgery, but that is a major concern since Carlos Carrasco is the number 2 starter for this Mets rotation. Now that he's probably not going to be a part of this team, he is going to start throwing next week to see if he can deal with the discomfort and the soreness. If he can, then he might be able to start in the rotation during this when the season starts, but it's not looking promising for Carlos Carrasco. So what does that mean for the Mets rotation? That means everybody's getting pushed up. Marcus Stroman is the number 2 starter. Taiwan Walker is the number 3, David Peterson number 4, and it's looking more and more likely that Joey Lucasy is going to be the 5th starter, which leaves another spot open in the bullpen. So now we have to look more at guys like the Tommy Hunters of the world, the Sam McWilliams of the world, guys like that who possibly have a shot to make this team in the Mets bullpen. Because as you know, Seth Lugo is out probably until the middle of May. And with the Carlos Carrasco injury, that means Joey Lucasy is going to move from the bullpen to the starting rotation. And there's a possibility that Shane Green could be a possibility for this Mets bullpen now that the Mets have another spot available in the bullpen. And it still is mind-boggling to me why the Mets are not going after Shane Green. He is still out there. I'm not sure if there's an issue with Shane Green in his arm or his durability, but the last couple of years he looked really good with the Braves, and I will think he could be a big part of any bullpen, but he could be a good part of this Mets bullpen. But at the moment, the Mets seem like there's not really a lot of news on Shane Green at the moment. I'm going to check the comments, guys, so I can respond to you guys. Alrighty. Hayden, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining in. Hayden, I agree. Guillaume and Alonso look good today for sure at the plate. We need them, especially Guillaume off the bench and Alonso obviously in the everyday lineup. It's soreness. Don't jinx him. While I was just reading that it's possible. Cool spin. It looks like it's chips as well. Robert just brought it up in the chat. But I was just reading that it was a couple of days ago that it's a possibility that it's elbow soreness, but why surgery to remove bone chips was right call over rehab. That's what I'm seeing with Yahoo Sports, but I haven't really seen it anywhere else. Checking it right now. Yeah, so I'm gonna look at it right now. I'm gonna look at one of the, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of an update of what's going on. So as of March 12th, let me see. Just give me 1 second, guys. All right, so I'm not seeing a lot. I seen one thing about the bone chips. Is that true? I'm not 100% sure. Because it's from Yahoo Sports, who is credible, but I'm not 100% sure. They don't give a lot of information for that. So I'm just trying to look at something that actually can, give me some actual news here, guys, so I can give you a couple of updates. But I'm going to look at something right now so I can have an idea of what's going on with Carlos Carrasco, a little bit of an update so I can help us all out figuring out what the hell the Mets are going to do in this rotation. So let's see what's going on. See if I can get some news here. Alrighty, let's see. Yeah, see, right now it's still elbow soreness, but it's a possibility that it's probably going to be bone chips, most likely. That's what I'm seeing. So, as of right now, if it is bone chips and if Carlos Carrasco decides to have surgery to remove those bone chips, as you see with the Zach Britton injury with the bone chips, it's at least a 3-month recovery, possibly 4 months as the timetable for removing of those bone chips. So that's an issue. And if it is, that means that the Mets are losing out on the number 2 starter to start the season for at least the next couple of months. But Carlos Carrasco is going to try to throw next week. So we're going to see how that goes. And if he starts to throw next week and he can deal with the soreness and discomfort, maybe he will start the season. But as you know, when a pitcher feels discomfort and soreness while he's pitching, it can mess with his mechanics and can cause other injuries. And, obviously Carlos Carrasco is not a young guy. He is 34 years old. So it's not looking good for this Mets rotation when it comes to Carlos Carrasco. And, that's a big time disappointment because Carlos Carrasco was a big part of this rotation starting the season. Let me check the comments, guys. Cool spin. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Is that your picture? It looks like a glove. Is that what William? I'm sorry. Is that what Wesley is? I'm sorry. It is Nelson. Is what he's talking about? Wesley, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming on. Thank you for joining in. Hit Wesley, please hit on that like button if you haven't subscribed to my channel. Please do. I'll be doing these post game lives during the season. I just did a post game today, so I can update you guys on what the season will look like. I will be doing live streams for pre and post game, and the post games will probably, if I'm at the games, I'll probably be doing the post games from the car. So that's always going to be fun. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hit on that like button, hit on that subscribe button. Hoping to get the 500 subscribers today so I can give another giveaway, which will be a Jeff McNeil flying squirrel bobblehead that I will be giving away in the coming weeks as soon as I hit 500 subscribers. And as soon as I get that bobblehead in my hand, I will be doing that giveaway when I get the 500 subscribers. So as a thank you, that's what I've been doing. I did it with 250 subscribers. I'm doing it again for 500 subscribers. When I get to 750, it's going to be another giveaway, and then the big one when I hit 1,000 is when I'm going to be doing a bigger giveaway. Most likely, it's going to be the Mets jacket that you've seen in a couple of my videos and my live streams behind me. I will be giving one of those away. It's going to be the Mets World Series jacket, not this one over here, but it's more of a winter jacket. It has a 69 and 86 on the arms that Modell sold about 10 years ago. Fernando talked about it in the chat. It's a pretty nice looking jacket. That might be the giveaway I give away when I hit 1,000 subscribers. William, damn, Cleveland traded us a lemon. They need to send us J-Ram now. Well, you know what? Listen, look at this. All of a sudden, Rosario is actually playing pretty well in spring training for the Indians, and he's going to get reps in center field. And the Mets talked about it for how many years? 3 years, and they never did it. Cleveland say they're going to do it, and they are doing it. So it looks like Andres Jimenez is showing why he was one of the Mets' top prospects. He is going to be the starting shortstop for the Cleveland Indians, and he looks good at the plate. So I was never like I said, I wasn't mad about the Francisco Lindor trades. I was very excited. I would be the first to tell you I was very excited. But giving up both shortstops, starting shortstops, and basically guys who played your infield every day is part of that trade. And that's the biggest issue you're having right now. Yes, Lindor is an all-star shortstop. Yes, he is one of the best players in baseball. But at the end of the day, you gave up two young, controllable, everyday pieces in your lineup last year for Lindor and Carrasco. And Carrasco, as of right now, hasn't started pitching. He is not going to start the season, most likely, in this rotation. Lindor hasn't looked good in spring training. Now, I'm not going to take that and go crazy with it because it is spring training. But Lindor has to show us that he is the all-star that we presume him to be. He needs to be a big part of this rotation, this lineup. And that's the biggest problem I have right now. Right now, Rosario and Jimenez look pretty good in spring training for Cleveland. Obviously, Cleveland's not going to be a really good team this year, probably for the next couple of years. But they do have young, controllable guys that the Mets give up for Lindor and Carrasco. And Carrasco basically hasn't even put on a Mets jersey yet in a game as of yet. And that's troubling. It's Fernando. It's not enough to Lindor. You know, Rojas is trying to get as many at bats for a lot of people. So, but you know, he'll probably be in the game tomorrow, most likely. So don't worry, it's okay. It's not up to him. Don't worry, Lindor's probably still going to get $300 million, no matter if it's with the Mets or somebody else. Nelson, yes, the same thing Yates had last year. Yeah, it's an issue. You know, something we have to worry about. William, I am a big Jimenez fan. I got a bunch of his rookie auto cards. Yeah, you know, William, I was a big fan of Jimenez too, and he looked really well when he came up from the alternate site last year during the shortened season. And I wasn't very happy that the Mets gave up Jimenez in the deal. Now, I know it was to get Lindor and Carrasco, but the Mets did give up, you know, Ahmed Rosario was the Mets' top prospect when he came up with the Mets. You gave up your number one prospect that you brought up to the majors in Ahmed Rosario. Now, he hasn't shown to be the number one top prospect in the organization, but Jimenez looked really good. Even we know he was uh, excellent with the glove, but he showed a lot with the bat last year too. And given both of your shortstops up on the major league roster was a little bit odd. I would have I would have kept Jimenez and thrown him a top prospect in our system instead of Jimenez, but I think Sandy made that call to put both of them in there because there was a couple other teams looking to get Lindor, and I didn't think Sandy wanted to lose out. Just imagine if the Mets didn't make that Lindor trade, like it would have been a good offseason? I don't think so. I mean, only getting McCann, Trevor May, you lost out on Springer, lost out on Bauer, lost on JT Realmuto. There wasn't a lot of big moves, and if you didn't get Lindor, I mean, what would you give him? A grade C for Sandy Alderson and the Mets offseason? So, everybody's talking about this team being a 90-win team, but then Lindor has to be a big part of that. Carlos Carrasco has to be a big part of that. And as of right now, we don't think he's going to be a big part of it at the moment. And it's a concerning situation with Carlos Carrasco because he is 34 years old. He is having soreness. He does possibly have bone chips in his elbow, which can be a big concern because he might need surgery. Hey, Cole, how you doing, buddy? Nice for you to join in. Thank you so much for joining in. Hit on that like button. Hit on that subscribe button. I think you already have, but if you haven't, hit on that like button. Hit on that subscribe button. We're getting to 500 subscribers today, guys. I'm going to be with you for about another 20 minutes talking about the game, talking about the concerns that the Mets are having right now with injuries and Carlos Carrasco. As you know, the Mets lost 4-2 today against the Marlins. Marcus Stroman looked solid today in 3 in the third inning, and Joey Lucasy also looked good pitching the top half of the ninth inning. He pitched 2 innings as well, gave up no runs. So, as you may know, Carlos Carrasco has not pitched yet in spring training for the New York Mets. That's a major problem because that means Joey Lucasy is probably going to be the 5th starter and is going to be pushed into this rotation, which means there's another hole in this bullpen. And it's another reason why I still have a problem with Sandy Alderson and his weird problems with free agency. He did not get enough arms for this bullpen. He made a nice move with Trevor May early on, and then that was basically it. Aaron Loop was the other signing. And a lot of other minor league deals that he made with Tommy Hunter and a couple other guys. Sam McWilliams, stuff like that. The biggest issue with Sandy Alderson is that he did not do enough for this bullpen. He is relying on guys who has not pitched well and who has been injured. Dylan Betances, he's been injured the last year and a half. The Mets signed him to a 2-year deal, and Dylan Betances has not looked good. Jervis Familia is a guy who can be a hit or miss for this bullpen. That's a big issue, guys. And other guys as well. Trevor May has about a 6 ERA in spring training. He is one of the bigger pieces to this bullpen. The Mets, it was a good signing at the time, but it was only a good signing because we thought the Mets were going to do more signings in this bullpen, and the Mets did not do anything in this bullpen. They did not get Justin Wilson, which should have been an easy call for me. They did not. There was Liam Hendricks out there. There were so many other guys that the Mets could have got. Now, I know that there's a lot of skepticism with this Mets bullpen, and I don't like this Mets bullpen. I think this bullpen is going to be a problem for the Mets because if you trust anybody in this bullpen, I can sell you a pile of dirt because there is no way you can tell me that you can trust this Mets bullpen. If you trust this Mets bullpen, I can sell you a car that does not run. I'm telling you that right now, guys, because it's a big issue. And not only do we have injuries that we have to worry about now in the starting rotation with Carlos Carrasco, we cannot afford another big injury to this rotation. And that means Joey Lucasy's going into the rotation, which means another big spot opens up in the Mets bullpen. I'm going to check out the chat right now, guys. Let me just catch up a little bit. Cole, thank you for joining in. Hey, how you doing, buddy? I heard that Rojas isn't teaching his pitchers how to bunt yet because they are still holding hope that the DH will come back. You know what? I mean, I'm not too concerned about that because it's very rarely that the Mets or any pitcher actually puts down a good bunt anyway. But practicing is that, nobody knows how to move a runner over anymore anyway. So, it's, they're holding out hope for the DH, and knowing MLB, they will probably on March, the end of March, they'll probably say, "Oh, the DH is in," and what that does, it helps the Mets because Dominic Smith can be the first baseman, Pete Alonso can be the DH most days. So, you know what? Until we see it, as of right now, there's no DH. So we have to look at it as there's going to be no DH. Obviously, it's going to help the Mets a lot and even extend this lineup a little bit more because that means Nimmo can be in left field and either Kevin Pillar or Albert Amura Jr., who's been probably two of the best players in spring training with the bat and with the glove. Almora Jr. and Pillar has looked great this year. So either one of them can start the season in center field if the DH happens. Cole, yes, I agree with Shane Green. I was just talking about it. I'm not sure why the Mets are not focused in on Shane Green, especially with the injuries they're having, especially with the problems that's going on with the bullpen now, with Lucasy ended up in the starting rotation because of Carlos Carrasco. Shane Green needs to be in this Mets bullpen. I don't know what the hell Sandy is doing. Every day, I'm getting more and more pissed off at Sandy Alderson because when Sandy Alderson made that signing with Trevor May, I was like, wow, that's a great start to the bullpen. They're making changes in the bullpen. They do not like this Mets bullpen. That's what I thought. I thought they were going to make a lot of changes to this bullpen. And we ended up with Trevor May and Aaron Loop as two guys who got big league contracts in free agency for the Mets. That is not a good bullpen. That is not big signings that I thought we were going to get. There was big guys out there to get. And I thought the Mets were eventually going to get Justin Wilson. The Mets didn't want to go a second year with Justin Wilson, and that caused them to go to the Yankees, and look what happened. Now, Lucasy, who was going to be the other lefty in this Mets bullpen, he's now in the starting rotation. So, you know what that means? Daniel Zamora might get a shot for the bullpen as well as the other lefty. So now you have Aaron Loop, who is a veteran left-hander, but he is not a great bullpen arm. And Daniel Zamora might be the other left-hander as well. As you know, Daniel Zamora hasn't been good either the last couple of years in the Mets bullpen. So that's a major issue. You don't have nobody that you can trust on the left-handed side in the bullpen. Now, is it possible that Jerry Blevins can make this team as a left-hander as well? But he's more of a left-handed specialist now. And with that 3-batter rule, that's probably going to hurt him as well. So the Mets are having big concerns right now when it comes to their bullpen, when it comes to the injuries. As of right now, the lineup is still okay. Everybody is still healthy, which is nice to see in the lineup. But the biggest concern right now is Carlos Carrasco with the possible bone chips in his elbow that is causing a soreness to his elbow. And if it is bone chips, if he decides to go with the surgery, that is a 3-month recovery, as we've seen with Zach Britton of the New York Yankees. So if Carlos Carrasco is out 3 months, now we need Syndergaard to come back in as quickly as possible now to fill that spot. And the biggest issue is that we don't know how much Syndergaard is going to come back as quickly. He's not going to pitch a lot of innings in probably the first couple of starts, which is going to tax the bullpen even more. The bullpen, which is not that good, the bullpen that has experience but doesn't have the record of being good the last couple of years, and that's the biggest problem we're gonna have. And Cole, thank you for thinking. I hope we're right. That's what we're hoping for. Cole, send Gesellman to AAA and get Green. Well, you know what? I don't think they're gonna send Gesellman to AAA anymore. I think he's gonna have to be a part of this bullpen. As of yesterday, we were gonna have one or two spots open, and now it's possibly three spots open in this bullpen. So Gesellman's gonna have to be a part of this bullpen as well. And the Mets should just get Shane Green. I don't see what's so hard about it. What is Shane Green looking for? What is he looking for? A 4-year contract? Because there's a reason why he hasn't been signed yet. I don't know if it's because Shane Green is looking for a couple of years, maybe 3 years on the contract, but sooner or later he's gonna have to sign. And I don't know how long he wants to hold out as a bullpen arm. He's been a pretty good bullpen on the last couple of years. But we need the Mets to make a move. Sandy Olson's got to sign Shane Green. There's no doubt about it. We can't go into the season with this bullpen. If you guys trust anybody in this bullpen, please let me know in the comments. Because I don't trust anybody right now. They haven't been good the last couple of years. Why should I trust them now? Edwin Diaz has looked good in spring training. He did look good last year, but he is a walk machine. He does strike out a lot of guys, but all he needs to do is give up one hit with these runners on that he gives up because he walks a lot of batters. And then we have Diaz, who is causing problems. And I don't trust Diaz. I don't trust Betances. I don't trust Familia. As of right now, I don't trust Trevor May. I'm not really sure about Aaron Loop. Gesellman is a disaster. So who do you trust in this Mets bullpen? Because I don't trust anybody. Fernando, I know it's kind of funny that, that's a funny comment that he made. Always a good signing, but then he had to pitch. Yes. But, he was very good with the Twins. But, it's a whole new ball game when you put on a Mets jersey and you come to New York. We have to see what he does. And that's the biggest concern. And as we see it as of right now, he has I think it's close to let me check. I believe it's a 6 ERA if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check really quick. But I think it is a 6 ERA when it comes to Trevor May. Just give me 1 second. Let me pull up the stats. Yes. So as of right now, Trevor May has a 6 ERA in spring training with the Mets right now. It's not good. And, he's another guy that's very involved with social media. And you know what? He talks with a lot of confidence on his social media pages, and that's a problem. Like, he's been in 3 games so far. He's pitched 3 innings, 6 ERA. So it's not good. So he's clearly giving up runs as of right now, and that's a problem. He's gave up 1 home run. Let's see. He gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 home run in his 3 appearances in the spring so far as a New York Met. So that's a problem. Again, I don't trust anybody in this bullpen. And I've been saying from the beginning of the offseason, the Mets need to make big moves and big signings for this Mets bullpen. The Mets bullpen will make or break this Mets 2021 season. There is no doubt about it. Ross, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for joining me. Hit on that like button, Ross. Please no Zamora again. I'd rather have a decent righty decent against lefties. Yeah, I agree. Danny Zamora hasn't been good, but you know what? At the moment, you gotta have to rely on what the Mets have and what you've seen in spring training. The Tommy Hunters, the Sam McWilliams, Daniel Zamoras of the world. Pitchers like that. It's a problem. And I'm not sure why the Mets are not really interested in Shane Green, or if they are and they can't come to a contract agreement, I don't know. But I haven't heard any baseball reporter talk about Shane Green since 3 weeks ago, maybe right before spring training started. So I don't know. So we might have to rely on a Daniel Zamora, a Robert Gesellman, a Tommy Hunter, a Sam McWilliams, guys like that. We don't really have a choice right now. The guys we got in spring training is the guys we have to pick for this bullpen. And with Joey Lucasy seems like he's going to be part of this rotation because Carlos Carrasco is not going to be a part of this rotation. Most likely, As of right now, Joey Lucasy is in this rotation, which is a spot that we're losing in the bullpen. That means we're losing a capable lefty in the bullpen, which is the lefties that we currently have on this in this roster is Jerry Blevins, Daniel Zamora, and Aaron Loop. That's it. That's our lefties. That's what the Mets wanted to go with when it comes to lefties. When Justin Wilson was an easy free agent signing that the Mets could have clearly made. He clearly wanted to come back to the Mets, but the Mets did not want to promise him a 2-year deal. Yankees did. Yankees got him. Now, Justin Wilson, as you know, pitched pretty well for the Mets the last 2 seasons, and I thought he was going to be – I just thought it was a guarantee that he was going to be a Met. But, we have Sandy Alderson, so that's who you get when it comes to Sandy Alderson, and him not wanting to spend on anybody, basically. So let me check the comments really quick. Fernando, I know a lot of you aren't going to agree with me, but I don't think the Mets should sign Lindor yet until after the season. Well, you know what? Here's the problem with that, Fernando, and I know we talked about this in other chats. If you wait and don't sign Lindor and see what he does during the season, the biggest problem you have, what happens if he bats 280, hits 30 home runs, hits 100 RBIs, knocks in 100 RBIs? You know what that means? That means a lot of teams are going to be bidding even higher for him. And now the Mets are in a bidding war. Now they have to be in a bidding war for a Baez, for a Story, for a Lindor, for a Correa. And you don't want to do it because there's going to be a lot of teams out there that are looking for these star shortstops. And when you have a guy like Lindor on your team and have exclusive negotiation rights with this player, you don't let him go. You can't let him go. The Mets made this deal knowing that they will have exclusive rights to negotiations with Lindor. And if they don't sign him now, you're going to have big issues because I can guarantee you, if Sandy Alderson is running the show, which it seems like he's going to, Sandy Alderson does not overbid for a player. And if you've seen what he does this offseason when it comes to Springer, when it comes to JT Realmuto, Alderson does not overbid for any free agent. And that's a problem because when you want to go into a bidding war, which Sandy Alderson does not like to do, out of all players this offseason, he decided to go into a bidding war with the Dodgers for Trevor Bauer. I'd rather him go into a bidding war and do everything he can to go after JT Realmuto or George Springer, but he didn't do none of the sort. So that's the biggest problem. And that's what you're going to have to deal with Sandy Alderson. I do not trust Sandy Alderson to go into a bidding war with another team for a star shortstop or any of the free agents. That's why I think the Mets have to get this done with Lindor. Because if somehow the New York Mets don't sign Lindor during the spring training and he becomes a free agent and the Mets lose out on every shortstop, Luis Guillorme is going to be an everyday shortstop. Luis Guillorme is a good player, but he is not a guy that you want. He is not a star shortstop. He is not a very good, probably great player on this team. You can't have him as your everyday shortstop because all that means is that you're going to hurt this lineup even more. Another lefty's in the lineup. It's a big problem. So that's what I'm thinking, guys. That's why I think Lindor has to be signed by this team. Let's see, Russ. Russ, I said before free agency, make a super pen because it's super important to be shut down with leads. I agree. But Sandy Alderson does what Russ just said. Alderson does his usual stuff when it comes to free agency. Doesn't overbid, sets a price for a player, does not go over that. And that's, you know what that leads to? It leads to the Mets getting James McCann, and that's it. Like I said, I will never say nothing bad about Sandy Alderson when it comes to trades. Sandy Alderson is great at making trades. Sandy Alderson is terrible in free agency. All you have to do is over from 2010 until 2021. When Sandy Alderson was the GM and as now as the baseball operations guy, he is a bad GM when it comes to free agency. Look at his track record. Look at all his signings in free agency or lack thereof. Sandy Alderson is not a good guy or a good GM or a good baseball ops guy when it comes to running the show and signing free agents, because he sets a price and never goes over. Do you know how many GMs would love to get a player at their price? It doesn't happen very often. You have to sometimes go over your price to get the player that you want. George Springer was a guy that the Mets could have solved a lot of issues. Now, I'm happy with Almora and Pilar because they looked really good in spring training. So I'm not going to go crazy with that. But JT Realmuto, I thought was one of the guys that were guaranteed the Mets to get. I like JT Realmuto. He's way better than James McCann. James McCann looked good, really good behind the plate, but James McCann hasn't really looked good with the bat. And I'm not surprised because just because you've seen a little over a year and a half with James McCann hitting, he's been pretty good, but he's never been the starter. This is his first time really starting for a team as the everyday catcher. So we can't expect much for James McCann offensively, at least not yet. So as of right now, Nelson, Guillaume has an outstanding glove. He does. But again, if you're going to compare him to Francisco Lindor, there's no contest. And I'm very worried if the Mets don't sign Lindor and he becomes a free agent. Do you feel confident that Sandy Alderson will get one of the shortstops? I don't. Because you don't think there's at least 5 to 8 teams that are going to be looking for shortstops? There's 4 big guys on the market. We know who they are. If there's 5 to 8 teams that are looking for shortstops, why wouldn't they go after him? So that means Sandy Alderson has to do some work in free agency and might have to overspend. If you sign Lindor now, you probably are getting a little bit of a discount, because if Lindor has a big season and the Mets do not sign him before the season starts, Lindor can get $320, $330 million from somebody. And right now you might get him for $300, maybe $310 over 8 to 10 years. So that's the biggest issue, and that's why Sandy Alderson is a freaking problem. When I heard Cohen, I know why Cohen hired Sandy Alderson. It was to show owners that he's a competent owner who wants a baseball guy on this team running things. That was the biggest issue. He wanted the owners' votes. But Sandy Alderson is not a good GM. I'm so sick of people basically bending over backwards talking about how good Sandy Alderson is. Sandy Alderson is the nice guy. He's a baseball guy. He's been in baseball for 40 plus years. I know that. But Sandy Alderson is not a good GM. He's a terrible guy when it comes to free agents. He's good with trades. But this year was the year for free agents. This was the year the Mets were supposed to spend big. The Mets did not. The Mets lost out on every big free agent that was needed on this team. Center field, catcher, 2 biggest needs on this team. Mets did not go out and get JT Realmuto, did not go out and get George Springer. I would rather have JT Realmuto than George Springer, but Sandy Alderson thought otherwise. Remember the comments from Sandy Alderson. Sandy Alderson said the reason why they signed James McCann, not just that they like James McCann. Why would you give a 4-year, $40 million contract to a catcher who has never been a starting catcher in the majors? Tell me that. Why? Why waste $40 million on a guy who's never been a starting catcher? Yes, he's good defensively. Yes, you want a very good defensive guy behind the plate. But do you really want a guy who has never started for a team on an everyday basis as an everyday catcher for a team? If it's Detroit, which he did not. If it's he got DFA'd by Detroit. When he was with the White Sox, they decided to get another catcher, another starting catcher, other than James McCann. Even though James McCann played a lot as a backup for the White Sox over the last year and a half, he was not the starting catcher. Sandy Alderson decided to give 4 years. Now I know it's not a lot. It's not a lot of money. It's 10 years, $10 million every year. 4 years, $40 million. But rather give a a big contract or a decent amount contract, waste $40 million on a catcher who never started in the big leagues, rather than going after JT Realmuto. And you know why Sandy Alderson said? Not because James McCann is better than JT Realmuto, because we know that's a freaking lie. You know why? Because Sandy Alderson said James McCann was willing to sign early and JT Realmuto was not. Here's the problem with that. JT Realmuto had no teams that were going after him besides the Philadelphia Phillies. That was it. Toronto had a little bit of interest, but they were never getting JT Realmuto. They were never that serious. The Mets only had to deal with the Philadelphia Phillies. And if you remember in the beginning of the offseason, the Phillies owner said, we don't have the money to sign JT Realmuto because they thought JT Realmuto was going to get a big contract. He ended up getting basically nothing. He got $103 million over 5 years? That was probably $40 million less what everybody thought JT Realmuto was going to get. We thought he was going to get a $150 million contract. Sandy Alderson read the market very poorly for JT Realmuto. There was no competition for JT Realmuto. All the Mets had to do was says, listen, here's 5 years for $110 million. You would have got JT Realmuto as your catcher. Not only as he started for the Philadelphia Phillies, he was a very good catcher for the Miami Marlins. He's one of the best catchers in baseball, if not the best, defensively and offensively. JT Realmuto was the guy the Mets should have got. James McCann, the reason why Sandy Alderson got him, because they liked him, which is crap. Let's be honest. He got James McCann because he was willing to sign early, which is not a way a GM or a guy who is running a baseball team who's trying to acquire players is the way to go. You don't sign a player because he was willing to sign early. Who the hell cares? James McCann never started in Major League Baseball. So the Mets were willing to give him 4 years, $40 million because he was willing to sign it early. That's your baseball operations guy. That is Sandy Alderson. All right, guys, so I'm going to check the comments really quick. I want to go on a rant with Sandy Alderson because, as you know, I don't like Sandy Alderson, as you may know. Cole, I don't agree with you. Sandy Alderson is a very bad GM. There's two things you have to look at with a GM. It's what he does with trades, what he does with free agency. That's two of the biggest things, obviously. The biggest problem is his free agency. He isn't just lacking. He is terrible at it. Cole, if you Google Sandy Alderson and search his free agents over the years when he was the Mets GM for all those years ago in 2010 until 2018 when he stepped down. And then when he came back, his track record is not very good. I give him credit for trades, but I do not give him credit for free agency because he's been terrible. He does not overspend. He sets a price for a player and never goes over that. And that's not how you run a team. You can't get players that way, or at least not the players you want. Oh, Cole, Realmuto has problems. What? He had a little bit of an injury last year. But other than that, he's the best catcher in baseball. And he went for a lot less than what anybody thought. And that's my problem. Sandy Alderson did not read the market well on JT Realmuto. You cannot change my mind otherwise. You can just tell. That's the biggest issue with Sandy Alderson. He has a hard time reading the market. He read the market. Now, I think I'm not going to give too much blame to Sandy Alderson when it comes to George Springer, because I think the whole Jared Porter issue, I think Jared Porter was very heavily involved with the George Springer free agency. But I think when Jared Porter got fired by, I think that was a red flag, and I think that hurt us getting George Springer. I think that was the biggest reason, because then Sandy Alderson got involved and goes, okay, George Springer, this is what we're giving you, and that's it. We're not going above that. And then he walked away. And then he decided to sign Pilar and Almora Jr., which I wasn't mad at. I thought that was decent signings, but let's be honest, they're not all-star players. They're not. Kevin Pilar is an over-the-hill type of player. He's not the same center fielder. He's very good defensively, and he's looked good with the bat. So I'm not going to kill Alderson for that, but they do have to perform. Let's see. You're Ross, you're 100% spot on about Alderson, Rob, and it's not his second tour. We haven't won squat with him as a GM. Well, you know what? In 2015, again, he made a couple of big trades in the 2015 season to bring us over the top. Like I said, even with now, some people are not gonna agree with me with this in this chat, but listen to me about this. In 2015, when the Mets during the trade deadline were trying to get a big bat that the Mets needed in this lineup, Yoenis Cespedes was the last option. Sandy Alderson did not want Yoenis Cespedes. It was the last one on the table. So let's not give credit for Yoenis Cespedes with Sandy Alderson because he wanted Justin Upton or Jay Bruce. That was his two options. If you watch 5 Days in Flushing, if you're a Met fan, you know about 5 Days in Flushing that SNY premiered many years ago. He even said he looked at Justin Upton as the number one option and Jay Bruce as the number two option. As the day went along on the trade deadline, the Padres were going for it to try to make the playoffs. They didn't want to trade Justin Upton. Jay Bruce and the Reds, they decided not to trade Jay Bruce. So the only option Sandy Alderson had left was Yoenis Cespedes. So there was no other choice. So it was either Sandy Alderson made the move or not. Yes, he had to give the okay, but at the end of the day, it's not like Yoenis Cespedes was the first choice of Sandy Alderson. He even said it in 5 Days in Flushing. He was concerned about his on-base percentage, his strikeout rate. We weren't sure if he can play center field. So that was the biggest issue. And look what happened. He got Yoenis Cespedes, but don't think for a second that was his first choice because it wasn't. Sandy Alderson is not a good GM. I'm sorry, Cole. I don't agree 100% with you. Let me see what you're saying, Cole. But this was Cohen's first year. It would have been bad if we got two free agents and Lindor. It would have been a bad look. Who the hell cares? Aren't we trying to win? Or we're just trying to make other owners happy? Now, I understand Cohen hired Sandy Alderson to make it look good so we can get the votes to become the owner of the Mets. But let's be honest. If Cohen wanted these players, he would have told Sandy Alderson to get these players. Cohen even said it in his press conference. He hires baseball guys to make baseball decisions. Cohen's is not in the office every day making baseball moves. He is the owner. He is the money guy. He has another business, obviously with .72. He is not running things with the Mets. Obviously, Sandy Alderson is calling him to give the okay, but Sandy Alderson is making the big decisions here. So I don't agree, Cole, with the whole it's Cohen's first year. Who cares? You're trying to win. When there was a big need at catcher, when there's the best catcher in baseball, you go after him. There was no competition at all for JT Realmuto. The Mets could have made a solid offer to JT Realmuto, and we would have probably got JT Realmuto. The Phillies even said it in the beginning of the year. The Phillies did not think they could sign JT Realmuto. They didn't have the money to do so because they thought he was going to get $130 to $150 million. And he ended up signing for $103 million. So, again, Sandy Alderson read the market badly on JT Realmuto. Ross, and he got Cespedes as the clock struck 4 p.m. Yeah, exactly. He got him just in the nick of time. Only because there was no other option. Not because, I guarantee you, if there was another option available, Sandy Alderson would have took another route. He did not like Cespedes. He did not want him. But there was no other choice. And it would have looked really bad when this Mets team was looking to try to make the playoffs for the first time since 2006. In 2015, there was a lot of pressure on Sandy Alderson. And Sandy Alderson made that move because there was a lot of pressure on him. Let me check. I think Lindor trade was more Porter than Sandy Alderson. I agree. Cole, I agree. Look, Jared Porter had a lot of really big, a lot of connections in Major League Baseball. That's what they talked about. That's why the Mets signed him as they hired him as the GM, because he had a lot of connections. That was the big thing that you heard about Jared Porter. He had connections within baseball. He knew a lot of people. He was a very good negotiator. And when that whole thing happened with Jared Porter, it was a big blow to the Mets. Zach Scott is a scout, basically, for the most part. He's been in baseball for a while, but he never really been involved with player acquisition. So we don't know really what Zach Scott is. And let's be honest, Sandy Alderson is the GM. Zach Scott is just has the title. That's it. So, and Cole, I really like Porter too. I thought it was a great hire by the Mets. But he likes to show his penis and harass women. So, you can't have that in baseball, man. William, can you imagine if Cohen hired Dave Dombrowski? He would have spent Cohen's money. Oh, hell yeah. Look, Dave Dombrowski spends money like a drunken sailor, as William said. But Dave Dombrowski also wears out his welcome everywhere he goes. You've seen it with Boston, we saw it with Detroit. But just to remember, Dave Dombrowski was the guy who made that trade with Sandy Alderson and Cespedes in 2015 when he was the Tigers GM. When he made that trade. And it was a pretty good trade. It's not really working out for either team, really. But it did work out for the Mets in 2015 when Cespedes was really good for us. Cole, Sandy got an amazing depth, though, with those three-way trades and stuff. I agree. He got depth on his team. That's no doubt about it. But this team, yes, they needed depth. But what is depth when you needed guys to be a part of this Mets team that were needed on this team? We needed the catcher. We got James McCann. Not because James McCann is better than JT Realmuto, but let's be honest. All the reasons Sandy Alderson gave for James McCann makes no sense. You like James McCann. Great. I'm glad you like him. But what do you like about him? He started a little bit for the White Sox, but still wasn't the everyday guy. He got DFA'd by Detroit. Maybe James McCann can become a good offensive player. Who knows? But let's be honest. He has not started and been the everyday catcher in the majors as of yet. So I don't know what to tell you guys with that. It's a problem. It's continuing to be a problem. There's no reason why Sandy Alderson shouldn't go after Shane Green. That's where we started off with Sandy Alderson. Shane Green needs to be signed by the Mets. There's no doubt about it. That it has to be done. We're having issues with Carlos Carrasco, probably not starting the season. Could possibly miss a couple of months if it is bone chips. That is the problem with his elbow. Lucasy is going to be in the starting rotation, which leaves a spot in the bullpen. Why can't you just sign Shane Green? If he's asking for a 2-year deal, Sandy, can you freaking give it to him? Jesus Christ. Can we stop playing these stupid games? You're not running by the Wilpons anymore. I guarantee you, if you ask Cohen for $12 million for 2 years, or 13, if Shane Green is looking for 2 years, $20 million, you don't think Cohen would say, okay, let's get him. We need the bullpen arm. Let's go. Stop playing games. But, Sandy Alderson is probably tanning right now in Florida. Not really worried about this doing any more acquisitions at the moment. Sandy Alderson did get depth on his team. But the necessities of this team was center field and catcher. He did not go out and get an everyday center fielder. Nimmo is not an everyday center fielder. I think most of you can agree. I like Nimmo. He's a very good offensive player. He is not a good center fielder. He should be the Mets left fielder. I would have been happy with Springer. I'm not devastated that we didn't get Springer, but I am pissed off that the Mets did not go after JT Realmuto. And you're going to see it over. Look, I know James McCann's probably going to be the 7th and 8th hitter in this lineup, but let's be honest. Wouldn't you rather have JT Realmuto in this lineup? I would. Even though James McCann's a good catcher defensively, we don't know how he's going to be as the everyday catcher of this team because we have not seen it because he has not done it. So we just have to wait and see. Let me check the comment, guys. Jared Porter had too much connections and got caught. Yeah, exactly, Fernando. Cole, and next year there are only shortstops and free agents. Exactly. That's the problem. The Mets, there's nobody. See, that's the whole thing about the whole thing with it's not a 1-year thing with the Mets with the free agency. Okay, great. So what are the Mets going to do next year? There's no really big starting pitchers on the market except for the Mets starting pitchers that are going to be on the market, which is Syndergaard and Stroman. That's it. It's our guys. That's it. There's only 4 big shortstops, and that's about it. And everybody else is trash. That's it. And that's the biggest problem we're having, guys. And that's why I think the Mets made a mistake not spending this offseason. Because how many more years are you going to waste of Jacob deGrom? Do you see what Jacob deGrom doing in spring training? He's blowing past everybody. He's already the best pitcher in baseball. He's probably going to be a Cy Young contender for sure. Possibly win it. And Nelson says, love me a long time with Jared Porter. Guys, so we've been going with this for an hour and a half, guys. I'm gonna end this live stream, guys. I want to thank you for having a good time in this chat, guys, in this live stream. I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, guys, if you haven't already, hit on that like button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Guys, thank you for joining my live chat. Check out my videos that I posted the last couple of days. I'm going to be posting another video tomorrow. It's going to be on Carlos Carrasco and the injury. So check that out tomorrow, guys. I want to thank you guys for watching. Fernando, Nelson, Cole. Who else is in here? Cool Spin, William, Ross. All you guys for joining me. Thank you guys for having a good time. Fernando, thank you. Don't worry, guys. And just so you guys know, I'm going to be doing a fantasy baseball league, Talking Mets with Rob. It's going to be the name of the league. I'm gonna create it in the coming days. I'm gonna post the link to my channel in my bio, in the descriptions of all my videos, so you guys can check it out. If you want to join, just hit on that link when I post it. And again, guys, thank you guys for watching. Hit on that like button, hit on that subscribe button. Years. So thank you guys for watching. Hit on that like button. Hopefully I get to 500 subscribers tonight so I can do that giveaway, guys. Check out my video, guys. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, let's go Mets. Have a good night, everybody.